Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Brilliant Heathanz podcast. What's going on, Grant?
How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm tired. It's been a long week. Just got back from a trip and work, and this cold weather's not helping.
Nah, dude, that temperature dropped like quick.
Yeah, I walked the dog, and he loved it because he's a husky, so he didn't want to come in. And I couldn't feel my face. It was
Yeah, it's it's
cold.
it's it's a little too cold. I
Yeah,
like the cold, but yeah, even for me, it's a little too cold.
I think it's gonna be colder tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I think they said it's like single digits. So
Yep. Yep. Yep.
interesting topic of the day because I don't really know anything about it. The balloon that's flying over the United States.
At least one. There was a rumor that there was a second, but I think it's the same one. It's just moving way faster than people realized. So the U.S. believes it's a spy balloon, which I'll get to that in a second. It believes it's a spy balloon. The Chinese are saying it's a weather balloon that blew off
Right.
course. Um, Somebody, I saw some really interesting things. Somebody, a friend of mine, I don't have a Twitter account, so a friend of mine sent it to me. And it's a guy who actually, I think, had worked for the government at some point, but was able to track it. There was a program that lets you track stuff in the air. It's like a government satellite that follows different, and he actually followed the path back from central China, which is where a lot of their military stuff is. So he's like, yeah, I'm pretty, like a lot of people are pretty sure this is a spy satellite, basically, a spy balloon. Um, and it's really interesting. What's really interesting to me is people's lack of understanding of how all this works in terms of the U.S. and the military and all this technology. A lot of people don't understand what this is. It's called a balloon, but it's really not a balloon.
It's like a
Um,
drone, I would think. Like a
it's not really a drone. It's kind of a balloon, but it's not inflated. It's a solid structure.
yeah.
So when people are like, "Why can't they just shoot it out into the
Well,
air?"
that's yeah.
It,
That'll be
it,
a
it,
big problem if you have a 300 to 1,000 pound object dropping from the sky, and you know,
well, there's a few problems you're trying to shoot out of the air, but one is debris is
right.
legit. People think that's just a lie that Biden's using to make himself look like he's not incompetent. And first problem is these balloons have floated over the U.S. before. That happened under the Trump regime. It's happened before. Like um, and it's being used as a political talking point. And this is very common. We're in a cold war with Russia. I'm not sorry, not Russia, with China. The Chinese have pretty much flat out said that.
Yeah.
Um, and the U.S. has been saying it. We had a U.S. general just, I think it was earlier this week, that said he expected us to actually be at war with China in 2025. And a lot of people were like, we hope not. We hope it just remains a Cold War. But we're in an active Cold War with China. We've been doing this. This happened when we were in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. This kind of stuff is not new. It's not uncommon. We do it too. We have spy balloons that fly over their country as well. Like this is not um, it's not China is taking advantage of us because they have secret deals with the Democrats or any of that stuff. This is just spycraft 101, and people got alerted to it, and now they're trying to use it for politics, and it's pretty ugly. And then the problem with shooting it down is you really can't. Um, it's not about people. The Democrats are afraid to start a war with China. Heard that. It's not really the issue. It's at 100,000 feet in the air, which is basically right before you leave the Earth's atmosphere, like before you get into orbit. Like it's
So
like
they said
low.
it was like 60. It's been hovering between like 60 and whatever.
Um, if it's at 60, when it's been at 60, that's been the lowest it's been.
Right.
The highest of any of our jets, that the highest ceiling of any of our fighter jets is 60 at best.
Right.
So we'd have to fly something up there high enough, and we really don't have any. Our missiles on our jets are designed to shoot other jets.
Right.
They're not designed to go into orbit. Like
Right.
that's a different. Like that's why when you see we send stuff up that goes into orbit, it's mounted to rockets that are bigger than skyscrapers because it takes that much fuel
To
to
push
escape.
it through the
Yeah,
atmosphere. Yeah.
yeah. So the people calling for it to be shot down doesn't really work that way. And if we're technically not supposed to have satellites with weapons in space,
Hmm.
so if we reveal that, we violate every UN treaty there is, and we are letting the enemy know that we have those things, which we're not
Right.
supposed to. We know they have them too, but again, we're not supposed to. And this is the other problem. Do we probably have a missile that could shoot it down? Probably. Um, but if we show the Chinese and the Russians that, then they know how to counter it.
Yeah.
So some of this could actually have been done on purpose to try to figure out if we have the means of taking out, like to basically evaluate our weapons,
Right.
whether we shoot something from space or shoot something from the ground or shoot something from a plane. If we have something that can hit that at that altitude, they know that and they know what our capabilities are, and it's basically a waste.
Hmm.
There are better ways that they could be spying on us from satellites these days, from drones. There's all kinds of things they can use to spy. This is such an obvious thing that it feels almost like it was planned for us to shoot it out of the sky.
Right.
Everybody, all the hotheads screaming about Trump would have shot it out of the air or Biden needs to shoot it out of the air. Like it's just people who are posturing for politics and getting Americans riled up and afraid because fear sells.
Hmm.
So I just think I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I could. I wish I had more information so I could have a better idea. Maybe some other guesses as to what China's up to. I don't know. It's a really interesting move on their part because this Cold War that we're in kind of just started, and this is kind of a big chess move. It's making a big move right off the bat. So I don't know what they're up to. I don't know if they're trying to evaluate something to see just how well we could defend Taiwan if need be. I'm not really sure. I know they backed off a lot and they changed their tune in a lot of ways and changed their rhetoric after us basically helping to crater their economy and watching Russia fall on its face in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. This feels like it's some kind of plot, some kind of gambit to figure out something about the U.S. I just can't put my finger on what it is.
Yeah. I don't know either. And you can't show your hand on a fucking balloon. I
Yeah,
mean, and
yeah,
plus, I mean, who knows what's inside of it too? Like there could be something biological or not even biological, maybe, something who knows what's inside of it.
yeah, yeah,
Or on top of that, you can't, especially from that height, I mean, the trajectory of it coming down, you don't know where it's going to fall. It could fall in a house, could fall in a mall, it could fall in, who knows what could fall. It could fall on a highway, it could fall in an airport. Like
yeah.
you don't know. I
Yeah.
guess my only question be is how do you let it get this far into the country? Like if you saw this was floating across the ocean, could you have done something before it got here?
Again, the altitude is a concern.
Right.
Um, if where do we shoot it down that it unless it's over the Pacific, which is massive.
Right.
But even then, I mean, there's still civilizations out there. There's still countries and stuff out there. Like, where are you going to shoot it down that you don't potentially risk it coming down on some other nation, and now you've created an international incident with somebody who was potentially an ally or was an ally of the U.S. Where do you shoot it down? Where I mean, technically, if you shoot it down, it's like China shooting down something of ours.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that if we did that they would do the same thing. They
Yeah,
would probably shoot it down. Yeah.
So there's a lot of evidence that China infiltrated our CIA spy networks years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know during the Trump regime, they basically sent and I don't know if people know this, they sent a list of all the spies and assets in China and said, get your people now or we'll arrest them in the next like 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
they send everybody home, like which is again pretty ballsy. So if you shoot it down, do you risk a bunch of people that replace the people they picked up? That they sent more people in, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you risk them being killed? Like there's a lot of considerations here. You can't just shoot something down and not think that there's going to be retaliation. There was that collision. I want to say maybe it was during the Obama years. It might have been beginning of the Trump years with the U.S. spy plane and a Chinese. I want to say it was also a Chinese spy plane. They collided. The planes crashed, but I want to say they crashed in Chinese territory. The Chinese picked them up,
Right.
and then they returned the captured airmen. But maybe next time that happens, or if
I
it happens,
remember that. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
or if that happens again, they don't return them. Like there's considerations. You're always playing, especially at that level of international geopolitics. You're always playing chess. It's always a game. So there's a lot of things to consider. There may be a treaty that an ally needs, that they're making with China. Some kind of deal for goods or something. And if we shoot it down, then that gets. There's a lot of things. Like it's not just the U.S. has to be considered when at that point. So I think that's part of the problem. I think there's a lot of things to consider before you shoot it down. So
Last I heard it was, what is it, in the Dakotas, I guess, or is it
well, it
further
was
than that
in
now?
Montana when it was first made news, and now around 2 o'clock this afternoon, people started 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. People started screaming about, there's a second one over Missouri, so there was over Kansas City actually. And now they think it's actually the same balloon. And that's the other problem. Again, when you talk about shooting stuff down, you can calculate to a degree where stuff's going to come down, but
Right.
something at height, at that altitude, for all you people that believe the Earth is flat, the spin of the Earth,
Yeah.
something coming down, the spin of the Earth, it moves. There's something that high, it moves incredibly quickly. You can
Yeah.
go from Montana to Missouri at that altitude in an hour or two,
Right.
which you like. That's why there was a point, and I think they're still trying to figure out how to do it and make it safe. Where they're looking at high altitude commercial flights where you go basically high enough to where you let the Earth spin underneath you and then come back down and you're at your destination.
I thought that they said that we did the technology's there because they can do that with our military. If I remembered hearing that a couple years
I think
back,
the technology is there. I think it's expense.
high altitude drop, they can put somebody up and then have
Yeah.
somebody in another part of the world relatively quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, to your point, the expense of that's probably, well, I mean, shit, they have an open checkbook. I
Yeah.
mean,
For they're talking about doing it for commercial. Oh, they'll do that for the military thing. I mean, for
oh
commercial,
yeah,
they're talking about doing it for commercial flights at one point. But I think the expense while keeping it safe is kind of the who's going to pay a $10,000 ticket to go somewhere 2 hours fast. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. Like it's the expense for the
that was like the Concorde, but
yeah.
yeah,
Well, the Concorde flew super fast,
right,
but it was never really 100% safe, and there was a bunch of issues with the Concorde. It was always breaking down.
yeah.
Again, these are great ideas, but yeah, so they think it's the same balloon. It's not a second one, but yeah, it's made for a great day in terms of the news cycle because it's all the news is talking.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that it's really as big a news story as what it's been made out to be, other than people are aware that the Chinese are spying on us.
Shock.
Yeah.
And like we're not spying on every other country in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. This is every country does it. Even our allies do it to us, and we do it to them.
It's a chess game, and
Yeah.
to your point, I mean, if you show your cards way too early, now they can prepare for. Okay, they had that. Well, then that's something that they can prepare for.
Yeah. Prepare for it,
If you
or
actually get
maybe
in
build a counter.
a war,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think the U.S. has some technology that could probably shoot it down, but the world doesn't know that we
Mhm.
do officially, and doesn't know how it performs. And do you really want to give that advantage away on a balloon, on a spy balloon. You know, I wouldn't. And I get like they're like, oh, it can. I think apparently it can hear conversations and it can pick up phone calls and it can pick up data from certain over the air, basically over Wi-Fi, over the air data. Um, but I guess I mean if you know it's there, you just you shut that stuff down as best you can and
Yeah.
wait for it to move. You know, like I don't I just don't see. And again, I don't think anything we're doing that's at high level it should be encrypted and should be probably over encrypted services.
Yeah.
So which I don't see how it could get. I mean, again, I'm not an expert on this technology, so but I don't think that's as easily attainable for them. And I anything that they can see through a camera, I mean, if it's out in the open, it probably isn't a super high level for us, super classified level.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't lose. I'm not going to lose sleep over this.
But
Like some,
to me, if you can see it, it's probably just to, like you said, put fear. My concern would be if they had something that you couldn't see, and
yeah,
then we just happened to find it.
yeah,
Like it was
yeah,
cloaked or
yeah. Well, if they got cloaks. Whoa,
that.
whoa.
I mean, that would be something completely different.
Yeah, that's trouble.
Yeah.
That's big trouble. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. I got to run.
yeah.
Grab my kid.
That's about it. Anyway, there's really nothing else.
Yeah. It's a balloon in the sky.
Balloon in the sky.
Shame they can't at least send photos down though. See what they're looking at.
I'm sure they already have.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
satellite department. I'm sure they've taken satellite pictures of the balloon and of
Yeah.
whatever the balloon is looking at. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining the Brilliant Heathanz podcast. Have a great night. Like,
Take care.
share, and hit the notify bell.